Hey, welcome back to IR Insight Live. I'm your host, Will Briganti from Nasdaq. Joining me here is Janine Gilliatt from SASB. We're at the 2018 National Investor Relations Institute Annual Conference. Janine, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so you just wrapped up a panel on passive investing and the shift to ESG. And you mentioned something about you were observing a structural shift. Talk to us a bit about that shift that you're observing.
Yeah. So that structural shift is in the nature of corporate valuations. And if you look at trends over the last, say, 40 years, corporate valuations have shifted from being primarily based on tangible value to being based on intangible value. And in a world where intangibles are driving valuations, things like brand, customer loyalty, customer retention, ESG issues, environmental social governance issues, become increasingly important to help investors assess value.
All right. And I think there was an anecdote that was read that in 10 years, 50% of ownership by institutions will be passive.
Yes, I did hear that.
So what does that mean for the investor relations officer? How do they need to be thinking about their corporate story? How do they need to be thinking about their reporting? And what can SASB do to kind of help them?
Yeah, so I think investor relations officers need to be thinking about what index investors care about. And because index investors are by definition long-term holders and permanent providers of capital, they are very interested in what are issues that influence risk and return over the very long term. And those issues tend to be ESG issues.
All right. And the work that SASB is doing, tell us a little bit about
So what SASB is doing is we set standards for disclosure of environmental, social, and governance factors by companies to investors. Our standards are industry-based. We set standards for 79 industries. And the standards identify what are the ESG topics that are most likely to influence financial performance in a specific industry. So they help investor relations officers really talk to the passive investors about long-term drivers of risk and return.
Awesome. And where can our viewers find out more information about SASB?
SASB.org.
All right, awesome. Janine, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All
Thanks for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Janine Gilliatt from SASB. We're here at the NERI 2018 conference in Las Vegas. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you. Thank you.